Hello, everybody. I'm troopersjp, and this is our take two. I hope I am synced. At least I hope I'm not so desynced that it is terrible. Welcome. It is Foxhole Fridays, and we do not have the gamblers today, and so we are playing we're going solo. I'm doing a solo RPG because I like to stream every Friday. It's more synced than before. That's good. Although I feel like that sort of implies that I'm less synced than I could be. But if you're running two cameras, you're going to have issues. Well, at least I know I can probably fix it for the YouTube. I'm hoping. So, hello. Hello, everybody. How's it going? I'm Trooper SJP. This is our Foxhole Fridays, and we are going solo with a game called Operation Swordbreak. It is part of I sort of gathered a couple of espionage RPGs, and this is one of the espionage RPGs that I've gathered. And it is a super late start because I had to do a whole lot of unpacking and finding things. Specifically, I had to find my second camera because this particular game is a Wretched and Alone game, which requires the use of a Jenga tower. And I had to find my second camera so I could set up all of that. And then I did. Just so you know, there is you know, you know, a Jenga tower. So, thank you all for being. Thank you for being here with me as we play through this going solo game called Operation Swordbreak. I will let you know that Operation Swordbreak does involve doing some ciphering, and so the whatever it is that I cipher up today, I will set that up for you all, and I'll make that I'll put that on our Patreon. I'll make that a Patreon exclusive, like little cipher versions of whatever messages I send out there. So, and I will also use one of the methods that they would have used in the SOE for collab callbacks. I do like an alliteration. So, let's just jump into it, shall we? This is Operation Swordbreak. And there is a quote that says, "The darkest secrets are written in blood," that will let us begin, I imagine. So let's just, as much as we all love seeing you, if the desync upsets you, you can always go just tower cam with the game sheets. Ist alles in Ordnung? It is. Alles ist in Ordnung, although I have heard that there is a slight desync with my voice. I do not know how bad it is and if you're very, very distressed over there in the viewerships. So carve his name with pride in code, of course. So I'm hoping it's okay for you. It's fine? Great. All right, good. So let's talk about this game, shall we? Let's set ourselves up. Who? Who are you? Who am I? Traitor? Turncoat? Spy? For years, I fought a silent war behind enemy lines. My enemy is not a person, but an entire system built to conquer and destroy. The regime. Forever growing, spreading oppression across the galaxy, its shadow looming over everyone, its machines devouring everything. My victories are small and fleeting as I fight not to get caught. I deceive and sabotage, trying to transmit intelligence to cells of the insurgency. Rebels who naively believe there is still hope left. There isn't. I have just discovered that the regime is days away from completing its new project, codenamed simply the Weapon. For next to it, all other weapons are meaningless. The Weapon is a planet killer. It's capable of wiping out entire armies by simply existing. If the project reaches its conclusion, all hope will be lost forever. My only chance, the galaxy's only chance, is Operation Swordbreak, to sabotage the weapon before it reaches completion. But the regime's elite squad of hunters already know that there's a traitor amongst the ranks. Will I be able to escape the hunters and supply the insurgency with enough information to destroy the weapon, postponing the inevitable end? Probably not, but I'm the only one who can try. And so try I must. I should see what my music is doing here. Alrighty then. So, what do we have? Operation Swordbreak is a game about trying to find hope even when facing lost causes, struggling against insurmountable odds, and fighting an unbeatable foe. It is a game of paranoia, gray morality, and sacrifice. I play as a spy, undercover as an officer of the evil Galactic Empire known as the Regime. I'm alone and surrounded by enemies. My death is just a matter of time. But I'll try to make my life count by stalling the regime's progress every time I'm able. As I try to stop the conclusion of the weapon by smuggling secret messages to my contacts, I will need to lie, evade, and kill to maintain my cover, even if the person I have to kill is someone I eventually called an ally. My position is too important to be lost, so burning an asset to escape the hunters is a price my conscience is willing to pay for the greater good. Operation Swordbreak is inspired by stories such as Mobile Suit Gundam, Star Wars, especially Rogue One and A New Hope, and every Cold War thriller featuring an arms race, especially those directly involving espionage such as the Metal Gear series. It is also inspired by cosmic horror and having an undefeatable system working against you, trying to kill you every day. So, basically, capitalism, racism, sexism, there are many of these you can choose from. And so, to play, we need a standard deck of cards, which I have, jokers included, a single 6-sided die, which I also have, and 10 tokens of some kind, which I also have. By the way, many of these things, including those credits, were set up earlier, but I had to, do some other setting up beforehand, and also a Jenga tower. We're going to record our game in some way. All the secret messages I'm going to type out on my little notepad, and then I'm going to make exciting handouts, which will make, and I will encode them especially, which I will make Patreon exclusives. And so, it says here that since I play as a spy delivering secret messages to my contacts, they recommend noting my messages down using pen and paper, and then sealing the messages away to safely send them out without letting anyone else see its contents. I'm going to write them down here. But writing apps, recorded audio logs, or any other option I feel more comfortable with are also valid, and it is best played when I can rewrite every message I send, so I should account for that when I choose my method. And I've got a notepad app here. We will hope it will be fine. Oh, okay. The only way to win is by sending enough crucial information to the insurgency before my cover is blown or the weapon becomes fully operational, and hoping they're able to put the information to good use, stopping the weapon from ever being completed. Dying before that happens is way more likely, though. Yes. Mine are cool, but if you kill them, won't you have erstwhilely rather than eventually become a friend, ally, useful idiot? Probably. This is probably true. Well, my friends, there's a safety note. I will read it to you, so in case you know. Many Bothan spies. Operation Swordbreak uses prompts to generate situations of distress, violence, and fear. I'll be asked to navigate tough scenarios and to make dark choices, which sounds like a game for me. The game tries to capture the feeling of being hunted through a gritty sci-fi espionage thriller set in a bleak, hopeless universe. So if that sounds like something you're not comfortable with, it's okay to find a game more fitting to your needs. Also, if you are watching this at any moment, you're always super fine to take a pause, right? I'll be here. You can come back later. Enclosed inside, you will find themes that can relate to murder and assassination, cosmic horror, destruction, tense social interactions, betrayal, and monstrosities. Okay, everyone, let us begin. I have set up the block tower. I must roll a d6. Oh. Okay, so everybody, it says here, set up the block tower as you would, and I have. Roll a d6, completing that many pulls from the tower. To begin, it looks like. Okay, let's see if this works. Yeah, sure. 2. Okay, so to begin, I need to pull two of them. 2 blocks from the tower. Okay. The tower represents the integrity of my cover identity. So the tower that we're going to watch is my cover identity. If the tower falls, my cover has been compromised, and death is soon to follow. Okay, well, that's exciting. Yeah, uh-huh. I feel like this is going to be this will be fine. I just have to pull 2. That's all. I'm gonna just pull 2 from here, and we'll see how that goes. It should be fine, right? Yeah. Okay, I did it. I did it. I probably need something like I don't know. How does this feel? Too intense. How about this? No, how about this? Yeah. Little creepy? We can do it. Yeah. Sure. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. It's Krellin asks if this is like Dread. It's actually based on The Wretched. There is a Wretched and Alone set of. Oh, you're not hearing it? Oh, that's fine. I can fix that for you. There's a game that was created after Dread called The Wretched, and it was inspired by the Dread to use the Jenga tower, but it works slightly differently than Dread, and also in a way that is disturbing and exciting. And I will tell you a little bit about it when it's done. There. Yeah. Cool. Nice. I have to shuffle the deck of cards, which I will do right now. Shuffle. Here we go. The first thing I must do is prepare my first secret message. I'm going to let you know what I'm going to do is write my messages on my notes app, and then I'm going to, after the game, make them a cool prop, and then I will, then I will give them to the Patreons. So, first message, which I'm going to type out because this is important, apparently. Codename, insert your codename here. Codename, I need a codename. Let's see, my codename is going to be codename. So I'm an officer inside the evil empire, and I am a double agent, and I need a codename. My codename is going to be codename. Who am I? What is my codename? Codename Janus. The two-headed god. Codename Janus. Well, that would, if they saw that, would they know? That might make it too obvious. Well, if they know that's fine. Codename Janus. Codename Janus. Confirmation. Also, what voice do I use? If we are in that kind of movie, and I'm a villain, that means I'm afraid I must have a British accent, because that is how American movies like to do their business. So let's see. Let's do it like this. Codename Janus. Confirmation. The weapon is real. Starting Operation Swordbreak. Hunters on my tail. Need to move fast. Regime agent. Insert agent name. Regime agent. Regime agent. I need a good regime agent name. Janish. Janus. Let's see. How about... Yes, the twin-faced Roman god. It is. So we're going to go with regime agent... Cobra. Because I feel like that's the way to go. Regime agent Cobra suspected me. Cobra. Move this so I can see it better. Had to terminate them. Body hidden on insert location. Oh gosh. Hey, body hidden on... Bespin Flats. Okay, I will read this whole thing again now that we've filled in some things. Codename Janus. Confirmation. The weapon is real. Starting Operation Swordbreak. Hunters on my tail. I need to move fast. Regime agent Cobra suspected me. I had to terminate them. Body hidden on Bespin Flats. Please dispose. Wait further instructions. So we're starting off with some murder. Cool. Cool. Okay. So all subsequent reports should start with my codename as an identification code, and the remaining contents should be decided by me, as I choose which information to pass on to my allies in the insurgency. Try to be brief, but remember, every intel can make a difference. I'm almost ready to begin. Whenever I send intel to my contacts, keep in mind that, I'm in my voice now, that should these messages fall into the wrong hands, they could compromise not only my cover, but the whole insurgency. So it is paramount to use all methods in my reach to avoid detection. There is an optional rule where I can basically code my codes in Cypher, and if I do, cool. And if I don't, if I just basically have to decide whether to put it into Cypher, or if I think the time is too short. And if I think the time is too short and I don't put it into a Cypher, then I have to pull from the Jenga tower. So what I'm going to do is I am going to turn all of these codes, all of these messages into ciphers, but I'm going to do that offline because I'm going to make it a handout that's really cool for you all, I think, for the Patreon. But I will make a note here right now if my message is ciphered or not. If I decide that I don't have the time to cipher, then I won't. And then you will see it when we see the handouts. This is what we're going to do. Okay, so shall we? Great. First things first, we have two phases. Phase 1, gathering intel, and Phase 2, making the drop. When we gather intel, we roll our die, then we draw that number of cards from the deck, keeping them face down. Ooh, okay, hold on. I have to make sure that it is, I do not think it is automatically set to do that. Let me see. Let me make sure. Cards are shown face down. Sorry, I had to change that setting, so we have that right. Draw the cards face down, and then turn over the first card that I drew, consult its intel listing, do whatever I need to do, continuing turning over cards and consulting the intel listings until I finished gathering intel for that day, and then discard the cards, unless I'm told to do otherwise. And from there, we go into the second phase, which is making the drop, where I take a moment to consider the information I acquired, the ploys I put into motion, and how they can strike a blow on the regime's plans. And I must I have to remember the things I had to do to survive and acknowledge how my situation is getting more dangerous. Then I write a message that I want to send to the insurgency, cipher it all up, and then send it off. Artie says, this is going to make me want to play the Lamplighters League again, isn't it? I really want to play the Lamplighters League. I don't think it's Mac compatible, though. All right. So, I think this is the moment where we begin Phase 1. Everyone, Phase 1. We must begin. 5. That is probably not a great start, but it is a start. Well, here we go. Yes, I think this will do. Right there. Let me draw my 5 cards. I said, if you don't mind, face down. That's the first one, so it's all right. Let me show and make sure one more time. Face down. Save changes. All right. 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the first moment of our mission. I have to gather intel. So let me think. I am an officer of the evil Galactic Empire, codenamed Janus, but I am Officer Rathbone. Officer Rathbone. I'm a high-ranking officer in the evil empire, but no one suspects me. Well, let us begin, shall we? So you know, in case you would like to be informed, each of the suits has a different area of things that it covers. Um, Hearts represent the weapon, diamonds the regime, clubs the insurgency, spades the hunters, and jokers are the unknown. Hearts, the weapon itself. When I draw a heart, I acquire critical information about the weapon's functionalities and perform actions to try to sabotage it. Diamonds represent the regime's structure. When I draw a diamond, I acquire intel about how to halt the regime's operations, sometimes engaging with targets directly. Clubs represent the insurgency. When I draw a club, I make contact with my assets, either supplying them with valuable information or acquiring help from them to conduct my own ops. Spades represent the hunters. When I draw a spade, it means the hunters are on my trail, attacking both myself and the insurgency's operations. I'll need to use all of my tricks to survive. And jokers represent the mysterious dread looming over me, my paranoia, the feeling of being watched. The sense that there's something I should be noticing, but that it keeps eluding my grasp. Something dangerous, and yet something inviting. Well, on this day, we shall call this Day 1. I'll write that down. Day 1. I learned something about the regime. Jack of Diamonds. I sent information to the insurgency about an easy regime operation to sabotage, but it turned out to be a trap. What were its catastrophic results, from which the insurgency won't recover? Pull from the tower. Do not replace this block at the top of the tower. Remove it from the game instead. All right. Not to be replaced. So, let's discuss this trap. It was an easy operation. The regime were about to go and send a shipment of droids to a small desert planet. There was no particular reason why they would go to this small desert planet. I don't know if you know it. Tatooine? Something like this. Anyway, they were going to be sending a small few shipments of droids to this small desert planet. There's not a very large or permanent regime presence on this planet. I thought easily if I gave the information over to the insurgency and figured they might be able to take the droids and use them for their own ends. Unfortunately, when our rebels arrived, the insurgency, to where those droid shipments were to be, it turns out there were quite a few squads of Imperial soldiers waiting, stormtroopers. And they were able to capture the entire group of insurgents. But I don't think I explained quite well enough who was going. Because this was to be a trade deal, one of our best trading contacts went to make this deal. the trader Ray Starshine. And Ray Starshine, who was one of our most knowledgeable, most connected traders, went to get these droids from some Jawas. Unfortunately, Ray Starshine, all of his protection and insurgent guards were all captured. Taken somewhere most likely for torture and interrogation. If Ray Starshine gives up information, that could put all of us at risk. But more importantly, Ray Starshine, one of our most connected smugglers and traders, is off the table. Take a note. We lost our smuggler and our trader. All right. Well, I guess that means we need to go to the next bit of our information gathering for today. Let's, I should probably move these cards a little bit lower. Flip it. Queen of Spades. Well, spades is the weapon itself. My attempt to sabotage one of the weapon's main functions was foiled by the regime. What was I trying to sabotage, and how did I elude capture? I should pull from the tower. No? No. All right, I'll tell you what happened. We're making a planet killer, a star destroyer. I don't mean a ship. I mean a weapon the size of an entire moon that can destroy planets. You see, in order for this to work, there's need to be a way to triangulate. This is done by multiple beams firing at once. You need to be able to sort of set up a feedback loop so that these beams of particle energy are able to coordinate through very specific crystals. And once all these different beams from multiple batteries are able to merge, they create one larger, giant beam. Something strong enough to destroy a planet. And so one of the important functions of this particular, the weapon doesn't have a name yet, but it is some sort of planet killer. But the function that I was trying to destroy was the function that allows it to triangulate those different beams into one. I thought if I could keep one of those, that triangulation function, if I could make it off by just enough, they wouldn't know, and the beams would not actually connect, and that would protect us. I went into there's a part in this weapon That is where the crystals are aligned. It's the particular main alignment room. I snuck inside when people were not yet working. Yes, Artie, it's some sort of killer stellar object. A KSO, the weapon. The KSO. And I snuck into the crystal alignment chamber. And I meant to recalibrate. But just as I was about to, I heard the sounds of the commander. Well, I wouldn't say the commander so much as the figure. A figure dressed all in black who arrives. Anyway, I heard the heavy footfall of his boots on the metal catwalk coming towards the crystal alignment chamber. I knew that I couldn't go out the way that I came in. But you see, our floors are grates. I was able to very quickly lift up one of these grates and slip underneath, and I lay on the floor under a grate as they walked into the chamber. They walked right above me. If they had looked down at all, they would have seen me. And I would be done. But luckily, people don't always either look down or up. They checked everything. They double-checked all the coordinations, the calibrations. Everything was perfect. And they ordered a guard to be here at all times, starting in just a few moments. After their inspection, they left. I was able to sneak out, but I knew then that the calibration chamber would not be something that I would be able to sabotage in the future, unfortunately. Well, that was not the rest of that moment. You see, there was still more. 5 of diamonds. I watched the regime's operations enough to identify some security patterns and schedules. Now, which points of access can the insurgency exploit and how? For this I must pull from the tower. Yes. You see, I had noticed earlier that the regime has tight security, but there are gaps in their security. One particular gap that I noticed. There. One particular gap that I noticed. Wait. One particular gap that I noticed was trash. You see, the trash compactors are never guarded. And the trash compactors automatically void into space, into ports on the sides. There's quite a lot of trash in this place. And if trash is not guarded, who guards trash after all, and if the automatic ejection of trash into space, by the way, you know that the regime is evil, that the Empire is evil when they litter in space. But, not the point. The point is, if the trash, as it is exhausted into space, is not watched, that does mean that if the insurgency could get to the surface of this kill a stellar object, they might be able to have ingress through the outports of the trash compactor. Well, good. Good. All right. Let's see. What's next? King of Clubs. This is about the insurgency. Well, the insurgency's actions have not gone unnoticed. The hunter-stalker was set loose, scenting blood and fear from afar. A murderous beast who never knew the meaning of mercy, who enjoys torturing its prey. It moves against the insurgent before they can even act, and hunts the one who enables their attacks. How do I plan to throw it off my trail? Do not discard this card. Place it where I can see it. If this is the fourth king that I have drawn, the hunters have found out my true identity, and they have come for me, and the game is over. But luckily, this is not my fourth king. It is, however, going to sit here, right there. Well, let us think about this hunter, stalker. The hunter-stalker, this beast scenting blood from afar, is indeed, it is an orb made of metal that floats through the air with large metallic appendages, and on each end there are needles and guns, lasers. This orb is, however, equipped with sensors that can see all sorts of things. It can see if you're lying, how you breathe, how you move. It can see into the infrared, the ultraviolet. It can see those things camouflaged. And it itself can camouflage. But you see, this beast, which we shall call Clytus, is not a simple robot. It is alive. Clytus has consciousness. Clytus was once a being like you or I. Clytus, the Clytus machine, works best when there is a consciousness within it. But the problem with this consciousness is that it is not meant for us to be encased within a metallic orb that can see through all spectrums in this way. And slowly but surely, those who are encased within Clytus go mad. And after a time, it can no longer function, and a new person must be stripped of its consciousness and forced inside the machine. And it lasts for a time. I know this about the procedure. I have a friend here on the base. And this friend is someone I have been close with for many years, someone who trusts me completely, someone who trusts me completely. when I read the reports that the person who was currently inside Clytus was acting erratically, I suggested my friend become the next person to be fed to Clytus. And so it was done. My friend, who I shall call Boxcars, screamed, yelled, as his entire flesh was ripped from his consciousness, and his consciousness was forced inside the Clytus. I know now that the Clytus will, at least as long as my friend Boxcar is the consciousness, will not suspect me. There's enough of Boxcar in Clytus to look the other way, disbelieve that I might be a traitor. At least as long as Boxcar's consciousness remains functioning, until it needs to be replaced with someone else. I still remember Boxcar's screams. Yes, well, but the 7 of diamonds. I was able to secure secret, safe transport routes for my allies. How can they move, and what routes should they avoid? Well, this is a good question. I know that I've been given the best of wishes that I might survive this mission from someone codenamed Artie Snack. See, about this killer stellar object, the KSO, it is something that needs quite a bit of supplies. There are quite a few people who live here on this base, this killer stellar object base, and they need food, and they need supplies. There is a series of not so important, not troop transports, but supply transports, small shuttles that'll come to and fro to the KSO and to the planets over which it is being built. I was able to make sure that certain shuttles run by certain people, Artie Snack is one, there are others, that they are less observed than other shuttles. I've made note of which food transports have friendly pilots. And someone who may pay attention to the large crates of cabbage and blue milk a little bit less carefully. I've made a note of the route supplies and which ones. I've marked it. In and out. You can get in and out that way. Yes. Well, that was the work that I've done on this first day. With this moment, it is time for me to decide, to reflect and decide. I must get rid of these cards and think about it. All of the things I've put in motion. I have recruited some of these pilots. They're low level. It's not the best, the most loyal and exciting regime. The Empire pilots do not want to be on food shuttles. They want to be on their amazing TIE fighters and such. So, having recruited a pilot, Artie Snack, some others, and having sort of noted where trash comes in and out, having destroyed my friend Boxcar to undermine their Clytus killer, having noted the loss of an important smuggler, Ray Starshine. It is time for me to send a message. I must say, giving up Boxcar makes my situation more difficult because I have one fewer ally here on the Killer Stellar Object base who might vouch for me, as Clytus flies out to the stars to gather information. Well, I'm going to now write my next message. I've not seen this message about... I wonder what plaything Clytus can offer us today, Void Smoker. Indeed, I hope they do not bring out the boar worms. That would be the worst. Not the boar worms. I've not yet seen anything about Alone Against the Trenches, and I hope that I might. It sounds promising. My message. Janice. Cabbage crates aboard shuttles flown by Agent Artie Snack are safe for transport. Exhaust ports painted blue are trash and good ingress points. Clytus is on the hunt. That will be our last message. Ray, one word, Star Shine captured and compromised. Clytus on the hunt. That is my message. I will make this a cipher, and I will send it off to the insurgency. Well, that is day one. Day two. For day two, we must roll again to determine how our next phase of information gathering will fare. 1. Not bad. Not bad at all. There, you can see it, the 1. All right. Let us think. 1. 1 only. Well, all right. 1. Not a lot of intel this day, but this day, 2 of clubs. The insurgency. Morale was low within the insurgency, but I shared words to get their hopes up. What lies did I tell them to make them believe in an impossible win? I took a shuttle down to the planet below to inspect troops and facilities. But of course, after my inspection was done, I was able to have some relaxation time of my own. And I went to a small cantina, sort of a hive of scum and villainy, that had music, dancing, and a back room. In that back room, I met with some local members of the insurgency, and they looked to me, dressed as I was in an imperial garb, for hope. Some idea that we would make it through this. They asked me for the plans of the killer stellar object, of which I did not yet have. I told them about Ray Starshine, and they were gutted. They asked me, is there any way that we can make it through this? Is there any way we can stop the regime? And I said, of course. I said, the regime may seem powerful and all-encompassing, but they are arrogant. They think they are undefeatable, and that makes their guard sloppy. They are becoming overconfident, and that overconfidence will allow us, the insurgency, to win. Our heart, our dedication, that we are scrappy, that we cannot lose, for loss is death, means that we will not lose. If we only believe in ourselves, in our teamwork, if we believe that our boldness, that we are small, will make us overlooked, and will mean that we shall survive. And yes, Ray Starshine was captured. We lost our central smuggler, but there is no way that Ray Starshine would ever break under torture. We can be certain that we are safe. We can stay on this planet long enough to destroy the weapon, the KSO. We just need to believe in ourselves. The regime, they aren't smart. They don't have great minds, not like we do here in the insurgency, and surely their lack of intelligence will be why we're able to defeat them. I did not tell them, of course, that some of the greatest minds in the entire galaxy are on this project. They are indeed. Sometimes it might comfort the insurgency to believe that if you were really smart, you would never, ever serve the Empire. It's a comforting thought to imagine your enemies are just buffoons, stormtroopers who could never actually hit anything. It isn't true, of course, but it made them feel better. I will send off a message for my day 2. My message will be short. It will be to headquarters. Janice. Zai. The rebellion cell here on the planet below has been... No, the loyalty of the rebellion cell here on the planet below has been bolstered. They remain present for the use of the rebellion. The insurgency. In whatever way. For the greater good. I hope that I will not have to sacrifice them. But if I must, I must. That was a good day. We must go to day 3. Day 3. What will it bring? Day 3 is a day where my intelligence gathering... More is done on this day than previously. I had some... Being taken down to the planet below took quite a bit of my time. Took me away from the things that I must really do, which is to defeat this weapon, this killer. This killer of stellar objects. Well, let us see. 3 items of intelligence gathered this day. What will day 3 bring? We shall find out. All assembled, gentles. A 5 of clubs, which is, after all, the insurgency. There are some within the insurgency who are great, well, at making things explode. What are some priority targets I can mark for the demolition unit to blow up? Yes, this is a good question. You see, we are here over this planet. This planet itself is not a desert planet. It's a planet of forests and mountains. Why are we building this killer stellar unit above this small planet? Yes, because it is out of the way, but also because it is where we are mining the dilithium crystals we will need to fuel this base that kills stellar objects. There are very few places where you can get large, very large deposits of dilithium crystals, this planet being one of them. And so, perhaps if some of our mining operations were destroyed, that would set us back quite some time. Yes. I think I know exactly the places where they might want to attack. But what else today? A 7 of clubs. I was able to secure secret, safe transport. Did I not? Excuse me one moment. If you don't mind, I must check something. Let's see. Removed. Oh. None removed. If you don't mind, I did a thing that I should not have done. We've already done the 7, yes? I believe that is the case. Let me remove this card. Replace it. We'll have to make a note that I was deleting, and deleting is not removing. So if we get a repeat, we will have to make a note of it. A joker. I see. I notice a hooded figure watching me from afar. Should I approach and investigate? Or is it better to keep my distance? Before I can come to a decision, the figure vanishes. And yet, I still feel watched, with a cold feeling rushing down my spine. What do I think it means? I must pull from the tower and then shuffle the Joker back into the deck. Whatever it was, I was able to lose them. Was it Clytus? I don't know. Nonetheless, there's still more work. Still more work to do. The Hunter of Famine intercepted key shipments from the insurgency. How can my allies survive without what was taken? The hunters move closer, and I must pull from the tower. You see, we have been using food shipments to smuggle in and out, to create not just food, but also safety. The Hunter of Famine, a figure dressed all in black, with a metal face mask in shiny silver. Tufts of fur are sometimes seen whenever you can see the little bit of their flesh. The Hunter of Famine scoured the galaxy, searching most likely for information gotten from Ray Starshine. Poisoned all of our food rations that were going to the 3rd sector. I've been working so hard to keep the insurgency's morale up. I don't know how they will survive this. Will they? Is there something that I can do? I don't know what I can do, but I have to do something. Unfortunately, that is all I can do for this day. Let me think. Let me remove... You know what? That probably should be a, what do you call it? Good, we have our remove cards there. Let me delete the Joker. And then shuffle. Shuffle. And let's make sure that our removed cards are still there. They are perfect. I have to send a message. Let me reflect on what we've done. I must reflect on the information I've acquired, the ploys I put into motion, and how they can strike a blow in the regime's plans. Remember the things I had to do to survive, and acknowledge how my situation is getting more dangerous. There must be some kind of way out of there, said the Joker to the thief. Well, let me see. Day 3. Janice. Food shipments to Sector 3 poisoned. Ray Starshine. I'll just say Starshine. Starshine. Has given intel. Attaching locations of the 5 major dilithium mines on planet X. Target these for demolition immediately. That is our day 3. Let us hope day 4 brings us better news. One hopes. 3. Another 3 intel day. Well, why don't we see what we might be able to do this day. One hopes it will be a good day. All right. 3. Remember, there were some cards we'd had put out that we need to pay attention to. I know I have agents out here who are helpful, and I hope those agents are Pilot, Artie Snack, but there are others. I see them, their messages scrolling on my feed of my agents. Oh, Crit Twitch, Agent Crit Twitch, who is one of our communications experts, noted what has and has not been pulled. This is important. Having my communications agents, without them I don't know if I would survive. Well, day 4. Let's see what we can find. Let's search. 7 of hearts. 7 of hearts. This is about the weapon. I left my dorm in the middle of the night to map the weapons facility and to create an opening for the insurgency. I have not been able to get access to the actual plans, but I thought I might be able to do it by hand. Where is the opening located? What areas have I mapped before attracting attention, and how did I avert attention to go back to safety? Well, this, my friends, will have to be a case for pulling a block from the tower. No? Maybe. Oh, no. No, I thought. But wait. The dorm, you see. This killer stellar object is vast. Catwalks everywhere. Much too large for the small number of people who go about it. Last night, I stepped out of my dorm. I knew it was that sort of third shift where people get tired. I began to walk. Out loud, I mumbled things they would think would be normal for me to mumble. Things about logistics. Officer Rathbone always cares about logistics. I mumbled and muttered about things. No one really paid attention. I had my clipboard. My clipboard had lists, boring, long lists of widgets, circuits. I was just checking here or there which things were still working, which were not. Which things need to go, supplies. No one paid much attention. I'm a rather grey sort of person, you know. I find the best way to stay hidden is to just be in plain sight. But not very interesting. And as I walked and made notes, in one of the lower bits of paper on the clipboard, I was drawing a map. I was noting exactly where each and every lock and door was. I was going through, you see, the eastern wing of the killer stellar object, the queso, and I was doing such a good job, running a bit out of paper and size. I thought, this will be what we need. I can actually make a map that will take you from the bay, the docking bay, exactly to the heart of the machine. And as I was making such a map, from the eastern wing bays to the heart of the machine, she showed up behind me. You know who. That hunter, the one in the long flowing robes, the one with the helmet, dark as night, the one with the powers of the mind, of the way. That one, I heard her voice behind me. What are you doing out in the middle of third shift, Officer Rathbone? Are you not a first shift worker? I said, excuse me, August night of darkness. I was just doing extra work. I was worried. I like to double check. Were you not doing your job properly the first time, Officer Rathbone? If you please, I just like to double check. I was worried about the security. I saw Ensign Jones out here in a way that I didn't like. I just wanted to make sure that things were all right. Officer Ensign Jones. Interesting. Thank you, Officer Rathbone. And without a sound, the night of darkness went away. Ensign Jones was killed and tortured. Ensign Jones wasn't that bad of a person. But Ensign Jones had gambling debts. No one believed them when they said they hadn't betrayed the Empire. Well, after that, I did try to rescue some of my allies from a failed assault, but the Hunter of the Void captured them first. What intel did the Hunter of the Void extract? And by which terrible methods? The hunters moved closer, and I must pull from the tower. You see, there was going to be an assault. For guns, weapons, I leaked some information about some shipments of armor and arms. I sent it through my pilot, Artie Snack, on the shuttle, in a crate of cabbages. It was passed over, then, to my agent Crit Twitch, who gives our radio operator, shall we say. Agent Crit Twitch sent this information, well, to our demolitions expert, Agent Prax. Agent Prax set up the operation. Agent Prax sent a team out to capture the weapons. What we did not know was that the Death Knight of the Void, the Hunter, was in the area. And when the Death Knight of the Void saw one too many people lurking about, just wandering around at the market, knew something was up, waited, and captured the entire squad. The Death Knight of the Void took the entire squad off to the Tartarus. The squad was taken to the depths of the Tartarus, a pit that goes deep into the core of the planet of Rigel 7. There is no light in the Tartarus, and deep into the Tartarus, piece by piece, parts. It is called the Way, and each person has within them the Way. It is like a life force of the universe. If you can master the way, it is said that you might be able to move things with your mind or throw lightning. But each person has within them the way. The Death Knight of the Void specializes in removing the very essence of the way from your body. Pulling it as if pulling the light of your soul from you. It is excruciating. And it leaves you desiccated and unable to sense anything that exists in the universe in any way. I did try to save them, but there was no way that I could. Unfortunately, now they know the name of Agent Prax. If I can get intel to Agent Prax, I might be able to warn her before the Death Knight of the Void comes for her. My last intel from the day, I went, you see, to send the information, to get out the word to the Agent of the Void. But as I went through the hallways, down to the eastern bay, where I knew that the shuttle would be waiting for me, I turned the corner and I saw a hooded figure in the bay watching me, looking right at me, or at least I thought they were. I looked behind me. When I looked back, the figure was gone. And I didn't feel safe going into the bay to leave a message for the agent. I'm afraid I might have waited too long. It was another 24 hours before I felt safe enough to send a message out. Could it be? I hope I wasn't too late. I must pull from the tower. These two cards must be removed, and this one gets shuffled back in. It's time to write a message. All right. Well, let me see. Day 5. Did I even have anything good this day? Janice. Attached is secure path from East Bay to KSO Heart. Priority. Move Agent Prax. Now. Assault. Team. Gamma. In the Tartarus. Operation Toothpick failed. Hunter of the Void on the move. I don't know. We don't have so much time left before this machine is created. I hope Agent Prax will get the message in time. We don't have that many high-ranking agents left. Not in this area. Well. Day 6, it seems, will be an important day. 5. Can we survive 5 cards? Well, we shall see. 1. Perhaps we can make sure everyone is safe. 2. 3. 4. 5. Insurgency, wish me luck. Wish me well. Day 6. 3 of spades. The hunters. I sent a squad to an op, but the hunter of blood was already there, waiting. How did it kill my allies? And how should the next squad hide from danger? The hunters move closer, and I must pull from the tower. I knew that Agent Prax was in danger due to the Hunter of the Void. The Hunter of the Void I had an idea. I leaked some information that I knew that the Hunter of the Void would surely find interesting. I leaked information about some who were sensitive to the way being on a transport off to Alpha Centauri 7, and I knew that the Hunter of the Void would take that bait before they would track down Agent Prax in hiding. That said, the minute that Agent Prax was for the moment safe, I sent a small squad, allies, someone I could trust, a small group of rebels, a traveling troupe of dancers. I sent them towards the hideout where Agent Prax was hiding. I figured if the dancers could make it there, they could get and smuggle Agent Prax out of where she is currently hiding before the Hunter of the Void could return. What I did not anticipate was that the Hunter of Blood was waiting for them. I didn't realize the Hunter of Blood was in the area. The Hunter of Blood was waiting in the safe house. Agent Prax's safe house. There was no word of Agent Prax, but there was word of what happened to that squad. You might ask how I know. Did I know from internal Empire reports? No. I heard because the bodies of that squad were hung up on poles, spiked poles, all throughout that small village on that planet. And their entrails looped, linking the body from that small safe house to the mayor's home. And then the hunter of blood killed the mayor and the mayor's aide and 10% of everyone from that small town, the village outside of the safe house. Leaving a message that no one should aid the rebels. And of course, the strange part about it is that there was no blood spatter anywhere, just bodies and entrails. And no blood anywhere. So, the question is, how can my squads hide from the hunter of blood in the future? How? The answer is easy. It is the blood that the hunter seeks. Empire armor, stormtrooper armor, leaves no part of your skin exposed. What the rebel doesn't know is that armor also masks the scent of your blood. What our squads in the rebellion need is stormtrooper armor. That will keep them safe from the hunter of blood. We must make an operation to get some armor. All right. Also this day, the weapon, the 9 of Hearts. I breached the assembly line to cause a critical malfunction. What did I do and who did I sacrifice to make it so that nobody traced those actions back to me? Well, I shall have to pull from the tower first to find out how successful this might be. I am successful. The assembly line is underway, but I needed a critical malfunction. I needed something that would buy us more time. The hunters are everywhere, and the rebellion is losing hope. I knew that, considering that one of my jobs is to check circuitry, that I had to make sure that I was not believed. There was someone who would be the perfect patsy, someone who hated me very much. But I knew that if I lay the blame at my enemy, that would make me only more suspicious. So, I knew that the best way to make sure that I might not be blamed would be to choose someone who, when tortured, would not lay blame on me, and who is not seen as someone that if they were gone I would profit from, but rather if they were gone I would suffer. There is someone who I have mentored, quietly, not obviously, someone who I thought was a good person, who never chose to be part of the Empire, was kidnapped by Empire forces, forced to work, but someone who was curious about life, someone who, once they became fully certified, might be someone that the insurgency could take. I could smuggle them out, and they would be a great asset, as well as they would have a better life than they currently had. But that person was the one I had to sacrifice. I had my enemy give the order to my protege to install a faulty tube. My protege installed the faulty tube on the orders of my enemy. And when the hunter came, as I suspected, my enemy threw my protege under the bus after the catastrophic malfunction. My protege was captured, tortured with boar worms, and their torture and murder was broadcast for all of us to see. Losing my protege is a great loss for me personally, and also for the future of the rebellion. But my enemy was given a commendation for finding the traitor, and I stay in the shadows. If this all falls apart, I hope that my enemy will get some suspicion for being connected to this whole affair in a way that I, myself, was not. But the day is not over. 4 of diamonds. 4 of diamonds. From carefully analyzing briefings, I was able to identify key personnel for the weapons research program. Who are they? Where can they be found, and what do they do? Yes. What is this? What is this? The key personnel. I shall tell you after I pull from the tower, as that is, after all, the first thing that must be done. It's a little difficult this time around, isn't it? Not so easy to find out these weapons experts, one of whom I think might be named Cotton-Eyed Joe. There are 4 weapons experts. Those experts are Cotton-Eye Joe, Dagobah, They are the vendor, Tatooine, Scholar, Voha, no, Scholar, Sarek, Vulcan, and Tinker Bell, Neverland. Those are the 5 scholars. That is where they are. Cotton Eye Joe and Dagobah, what they do is they align the energy of the way with the dilithium crystals. The vendor in Tatooine is able to fabricate small and intricate weapons parts and then put them together like a jigsaw puzzle. Scholar Sarek, Vulcan, is able to attune the frequencies of the crystals for utmost damage. And the Tinker Bell in Neverland is able to make everything move smoothly, silently. Tricky, tricky, tricky. Well, all right. Queen of Clubs. I suspect a prominent member of the insurgency is actually a regime agent in disguise. Who is it? How will I handle the problem? And silence them. I must pull from the tower. No, not that one. There's a prominent member of the insurgency, someone who we all trust, that we look up to, who matters quite a lot to us all. A beacon of hope. A princess from a small, out-of-the-way planet. This princess was once captured some time ago and was rescued by some other insurgents. But this princess was tortured by one of the Death Knights for quite some time. It is said that she gave up no intel. But I heard her say something about Agent Prax that she should not know. Something about Agent Prax's... well, about the Death Knight of Blood. And the only people who would know that, something I had not told in the reports, would have been the Empire. I arranged for a meeting with the princess to discuss plans. It was dangerous. Me being there could risk everything, after all. I said it was a meeting with someone else. She arrived, looking for foot solo. I emerged instead from behind heavy drapery. I told her that the sand was rough. She wondered what that meant. That is when I pulled out the sandblaster. There was nothing left of her after that. Blasted across the entire room, no evidence she was ever there. I left. Then I created a small holographic message from the princess. A call, a heroic call, saying that those would be our only hope. I sent it out. I hope that this false hologram might at least inspire more people to join the rebellion. I said that she would have to go in hiding. Hope they will never know that she died. Lastly, 6 of diamonds. 6 of diamonds is about the regime. I found an encoded journal detailing where the regime stores critical supplies. Where are these facilities located? And what do they store? And I must pull from the tower. Nope. Yes, I found an encoded journal detailing where the regime stores not yet tracked stormtrooper armor. Armor that will hide and cloak the scent of blood from the hunter of blood. Yes. These facilities are on a small planet called Vega 1. These caches of perhaps the only thing that might keep us safe. I must get that message out as soon as possible. Yes. Day 6. Janice. Terminate the following weapons scientists. Cotton Eye Joe, Dagobah, the Vendor, Tatooine, Scholar Sarek, Vulcan, and Tinker Bell, Neverland. Vega 1 holds Stormtrooper untagged Stormtrooper armor. Priority for all ops teams, protects from Hunter of Blood. Princess in hiding. Here is her call for more heroes. Day 7. Let me remove these cards. What will our next day bring? Will it bring us victory? Will it bring us closer to the destruction of this weapon? A 3. Not bad. Not bad. Well, let's see what we can do then in this case. 3. The things I am doing in this moment, they're difficult. I've not told the rebellion everything. I don't need to know all the people that I've sacrificed, the people that I love. Perhaps there's no space for love in this moment. I must gather intel. The King of Hearts. My attempts of investigating and sabotaging have not gone unnoticed. The weapon is now being overseen by the Hunter Inspectorate, a cunning creature, cold and calculating, following each of my moves. How do I plan to throw it off my tail? Do not discard this card. Place it where I can see it. If this is the 4th king I have drawn, the hunters have found out my one true identity and they've come for me, and the game is over. The Hunter Inspectorate is not what you would expect. You might expect something bloody and dangerous, full of fire, weapons bristling every which way, swords of light, evil muscles. But no. The Hunter Inspectorate, slender, tall, thin, and gray, just like me. Well, I'm not so tall. The Hunter Inspectorate is a bureaucrat, a paper pusher, and is not lazy, does not take shortcuts, is what you might say a micromanager. The Hunter Inspectorate does not allow computers to do things that they could do. They do not have the AI do the calculations for them. They do everything themselves by hand. They check every single circuit by hand. Every I dotted, every T crossed, every shipment checked. And they don't like the way I smell. Everything I do, they are watching. Every form that I sign, they read, they check. They were brought in, of course, because my protege seemed to be a traitor. This is not ideal. How exactly do I plan to throw them off the trail? I think I know. It is risky. A very risky thing indeed. I need to make it seem as if my enemy is trying to make it look like I am the threat, to throw off suspicion from them. So I must put suspicion on myself, but through my enemy, Harcourt. I'm sure you know Harcourt. Lieutenant Harcourt. Yes, so I need to plant evidence on myself, making me look bad, but I need to make sure that the evidence can be traced back to Harcourt. False evidence. Yes. That is what I will have to do. The Hunter Inspectorate is smart enough to track it down. At least I hope so. Well, I will set that up, but my day is not done. The Queen of Hearts. I do believe that we have seen the Queen of Hearts, have we not? Have we? Your attempt to sabotage one of the weapon's main functions was foiled by the regime. What was I trying to sabotage, and how did I elude capture? I feel as if we have done this one, yes? Yes. I feel we have. Let me... Yes? Have we? Critwitch says the Jack of Diamonds, Queen of Spades, 5 of Diamonds, 7 of Diamonds, 2 of Clubs, 5 of Clubs, Joker, Jack of Clubs. Which means we have not done the Queen. Well then, in which case... we shall pull. This isn't good. We did it. All right. I was trying to go and sabotage. Yes, I was trying to sabotage the crystal's housing, the dilithium crystal's housing. There is an insulation device that is able to stop it from rattling, because it rattles quite something fierce when the energy is being sent through it. And I was going to loosen all of those so that once it tries to fire, the crystals themselves would basically rattle apart the entire structure. And I was successful at loosening everything. But as I was about, and I slipped out. Everything was loosened, and I slipped out. I had succeeded, or so I thought. And that is when the Hunter Inspectorate called for a surprise inspection of everything, having me be the junior. And together we went and began to inspect all of the pieces. It took us 17 hours. I found a number of small errors here and there, fixed them with my tools. And when we came to the housing chamber, the crystal chamber, I knew that the best way that I could keep my cover safe was by finding the sabotage. One of the technicians looked first, found nothing. I came in after, and I discovered the sabotage. Pointed out that that technician lied about there being no sabotage and shot him in the head. I was praised for finding this desperate sabotage and asked for a solution that might make it so that that particular sabotage will not happen again, and I pointed out some errors in the housing concept, which were then fixed. And well, that way is not a way that we can find success in the future. Thanks to me. I'm a hero, after all, to the regime, I guess. That said, I was able to eliminate important targets involved in the weapon's preparation. What were their functions, and how will their absence delay the weapon's completion? And I must pull from the tower, and I think I will, because I know exactly how it will be. Nope, not that one. Nope. It's bad. I got word that Agent Prax, our demolitions expert, was still around, safe. I was able to send a message, the coordinates of those 5 weapons experts that I'd mentioned before. I was able to get them. Agent Ardisnat brought the coordinates by hand through the cabbage crates down to Agent Crit Twitch, who sent them on the line. Sent them to Agent Prax. Agent Prax, I don't know if I mentioned this before, is a demolitions expert. Agent Prax is also a bit of a tinker. She likes to make presents, small gifts, a brooch, a tie pin, a small little bouncing toy, all sorts of little things, pleasant things, crystal flowers. And each one of those things, when she makes them at least, are explosive. She was able to gift each one of those weapons experts a little gift, a gift that goes boom. One by one, throughout the galaxy, lights got very bright and then went out. I'm afraid for the Empire, Cotton Eye Joe and Dagobah, the Vendor and Tatooine, Scholar Sarek from Vulcan, and Tinker, the Tinker Bell, in Neverland, well, they will not be aiding in the construction of this killer stellar object, or anything else for that matter. I'm glad to know that we finally had a win. Finally. Well, I doubt they'll find anyone who can, with that set of skills, anytime soon. That said, it's time to write a message. Let's see. What message do we send the rebellion? Day 7. Janice. Let's see. The weapons masters are dead. Prax gave the gift of boom. Short and sweet. I must say, Hunter Inspectorate on the scene. Boom, boom, boom. Well, we must now say way-o. Way-o. Well, day 8. Shall we? How might... If only we could defeat this device. I suspect we're getting closer. At least I hope so. 2. 2. 2. 2. Will this be the moment? Will we succeed? Quickly looking, here is, after all, our big long stack of removed cards. All right, 2. You know what's exciting about using a deck of cards as your randomizer rather than dice is that it's a finite set of options, and you can only hope you can get the ones you need before you get the ones you don't. Let us gather our intel, shall we? Ace of Clubs. What does this mean? Well, when the regime's agents were getting close to blowing my cover, my allies from the insurgency set up a distraction to pull attention away from me. How did they do it, and what was lost in the attempt? The next time I'm told from the tower, I may choose not to do so. Yes. You see, with the inspector, the Hunter Inspectorate, hounding me at every moment, it has become more and more difficult to get messages out. Unfortunately, there was a lack of messages going out from this space, and they must have found that suspicious. Me not being able to send out messages, and then no messages going out, seemed to point back to me after all. There was increasing pressure. If I sent a message out while being watched, they might catch me. But no messages going out meant that, after all, it looked more and more like it might have been me, at least in the eyes of the Hunter Inspectorate. I didn't know what I could do. There seemed to be nothing I could do. I couldn't get a message out. And that's when a message went out. Our pilot, Agent Artie Snack, set up a message in a cabbage crate and sent off into space. And that's all they needed. They knew that someone on the killer stellar object was still sending messages. And they knew it wasn't me because I was being watched the entire time. And they blew that shuttle out of the sky. Agent Artie Snack, who was a Bothan, by the way, if you didn't know, brave, died with a fake message to keep my cover safe. And I didn't even ask Agent Artie Snack to do it. Agent Artie Snack did it because they were brave. And they knew it was the right thing to do. And I asked myself, am I doing the right thing? Is it too much? But I cannot let Artie Snack's sacrifice go in vain. I must continue on. A 6 of hearts. I have acquired videos from the aftermath of one of the weapon's tests. How does the weapon kill, and how did those sights make me feel? The dilithium crystals on the edges, the diameter of the killer stellar object, begin to glow. Then there's a coordination signal, and the beams shoot out and meet in one singular point in space, joining, and the different colors of the different crystals merge until it is one white-hot beam, and that white-hot beam shoots out, and it hit a small, small planet. And there was no explosion. No. It just hit the planet's surface, and then it turned from white to red to black. And then nothing. That was it. At least that's what that first video showed. The next video was a drone going down to the planet's surface. There was no life on that planet left. Nothing was alive. Everything was dust. The water was gone. The plants, the trees turned to dust. The people, merely shadows on the ground. It takes hundreds of years to terraform a planet. And this planet was de-terraformed in a matter of minutes. But that wasn't the worst of it. The worst of it was that the crystals themselves had grown to twice their size. I suspect that with each planet that this killer stellar object destroys, it becomes stronger and stronger. I must send a message out. Day 8. Janice. Honor Artie Snack. The KSO feeds on life. That's all I can say. Day 9. I will note this ace for the moment and remove this 6. It is the next day, and I don't know how much longer we can survive, how much longer we can hold out. 5. This will be a day. I hope it will not be a day that will live in infamy, but a day that will live in victory. Victory as we learn how to vanquish and destroy this device. And I hope that this may be the day that we do. I pull 5 cards. And I hope that within these cards are the key to destroying this weapon, this thing, this killer stellar object, which is, in some ways, it is death, destroyer of worlds. Yeah, that is what it has become, at least. My first day. 5 of spades, which is the hunters. I tried to smuggle the insurgency's commanders away, but the hunter of sight tracked them, assassinating them from afar. What were the consequences of this new power vacuum, and how should the insurgency adapt? The hunters move closer, and I must pull from the tower. No. Maybe. There was a secret meeting to discuss the future of the rebellion, the insurgency. I hadn't heard about it, of course, because I am not one of the leaders of the insurgency, nor could I go. I found out later that it was called by the princess, who I know to be dead. And I assume so does the Hunter of Sight. Some of the most important members of the rebellion, of the insurgency, went to a small palace on a small, out-of-the-way planet. And when they met there, some people had not decided to show up because they were angry at the princess for not contacting, I imagine. But one by one, a large spike was shot through the air from a mile away, right through their eyes. A spike made of polonium. They died, and then their entire bodies became irradiated. And those who came to investigate the day later died of polonium poisoning. A full half of our most important leaders and commanders were killed over the course of 3 days on a pleasure planet called Ryja. And of course, part of the consequences of this power vacuum is that there's a hotshot pilot named Poe who has decided that now he is in command of the 4th Fleet. But he's a bit of a hotshot pilot, a bit of a hot dog. Will Poe be able to be wise or just bold? I've not used the skip a pull card because I don't know yet what will happen. I thought I'd wait. Well, with this, a number of those more hot dog of our lower ranking leaders, the ones who always had to be held in, they have now ascended to power, and I think it will make us more reckless, and I worry about that. Moving too fast. Well, we shall see. King of Spades. The patience of the regime has worn thin. I've been running for far too long, but no more. The Hunter of Hunters has awakened, its power and malice overshadowing all of the others combined. Every hunter works harder, for even they fear failing their leader. There is nowhere else that I can run now. I may not discard this card. Place it where I can see it. While the Hunter of Hunters is in play, each time a spade card asks me to pull from the tower, I must make 2 pulls instead. The 2 of Hearts. I was able to steal a photo of the weapon, and it is more terrifying than I could have imagined. What does the weapon look like? I know what it looks like. To the naked eye, at least. It looks like a large moon. Well, a small moon. A very small moon. But the photograph that I saw that gave me pause was a photograph of the dilithium crystals. Recently. I don't know what sort of light frequencies were used to get this photograph. But inside of the crystals, I saw faces screaming. I saw all the life of that one planet trapped, screaming forever. This is not just a weapon. It is something far worse. In my years being undercover, I have identified a few of the regime's agents who have dirt that I could exploit. Which officers could I blackmail? And what would I have them do? Well, before I approach them, I must pull from the tower. Lieutenant Harcourt, my enemy, he would be one of the best targets. Let us see if we can blackmail him safely. No? No. You see, Lieutenant Harcourt, my nemesis, is tricky, smart, not so easily blackmailed. I have set him up well. I've made it seem as if he's been trying to ruin me with false evidence. This, with the hunt of hunters around, will easily get him killed. But can I do it? Yes. Yes, I can. So, I wait one day. I slip inside Lieutenant Harcourt's quarters, and when he arrives, I say to him, Lieutenant Harcourt, it seems you have been a very bad boy. You have been fabricating evidence of treason against me. He says, well, I've never done nothing. I've done nothing of the sort. And I say, well, that's not what any of your computer says. And did you not just get an award for finding treason? And it turns out, as I've done my research, that person of you accused of treason for which you got that award also did not do it. So, you have a habit of accusing others of treason for your own personal gain, which is bad for morale and makes you seem quite bad. Now, I'm willing to overlook this terrible breach, Lieutenant Harcourt, and not inform the Hunter of Hunters, if you might do for me a few favors. You see, I would like food shipments, as many as you can redirect, sent to a depot. There's a small space station called Babylon 5, and I would like you to route as many shipments of food as you can to Babylon 5. You can just make it out to High Tops. That'll do. Thank you, Lieutenant Harcourt. Our last card. Jack of Hearts. Jack of Hearts. There was a meeting about a major development on the weapon's progress. What stopped me from being present, and what did I risk with my attempt? Pull from the tower. By the way, there are 10, you can see them, there are 10 tokens, and these tokens I need to have. I think if I can get 10 of them, I succeed in my mission. I currently have 0 of them, and I have no idea how to get those tokens. Well, that's not great, is it? So, well, I guess we'll find out what happens. Let me move this over here. Right there. Boom. All right. Okay, I'm going to pull. No? Maybe. No, I don't like it. No. So I have to, there's a meeting. All of us were called to go, but I couldn't be there. This might be my only chance. Oh! No? See, here's what I'm thinking. If there's a large meeting of all of the most important people, that means they will not be in the guts of the machine, where the crystals are housed. This might be one of my only chances to do important sabotage with no one to see me. You see, all of the hunters are going to be at this meeting to talk about the most important weapons developments, and while I need to know these developments, it might be more important for me to sabotage the machine, unseen. Ah! Yes. I waited. I waited until this important meeting. And when all of the hunters and all of the great leaders were present, I made sure that I had a shuttle, a request to deliver something on the planet's surface via shuttle, so I would not be present. I was able to get a second. I was able to go and convince a second shuttle pilot to work for us in the rebellion. I don't know if you know the shuttle pilot, Agent Lysander. Lysander spoofed my presence on the logs, and while they thought I was on the planet's surface, inspecting, I was actually working to undermine the dilithium crystals themselves. The evil things that fuel this entire death-killing stellar object, this weapon of such profane evil. But I was successful, at least for now. But will it be enough? I must make my message. Day 9. Our rebellion leaders killed, including the princess. What else can I say? New agents recruited. Food delivery at High Tops, Babylon 5. Do not give up hope. Sabotage. Almost complete. I think that might be enough to keep their spirits high. I hope. Well, this leaves us with the next day of gathering intelligence. This, my friends, is a day of 3. 3. We're getting so close. So close to the end. I hope. I told the rebellion that they should not give up hope. I lied, of course. I told them the things they might want to hear. But maybe I should believe the lies myself. Maybe I should believe that we can do this a bit more. On this day, day 10, our leaders have been killed. Impatient people take the reign. But maybe, Jack of Spades, the hunters. Members of the insurgency risk themselves to bring me something of value. But the regime intercepted the drop. How did I terminate my allies to maintain my cover? Pull from the tower. Pilot Lysander brought a small team of insurgent agents wearing the new stolen stormtrooper armor, led by Sergeant Nuggetosaurus, to bring me something of great value and importance. They flew up to the killer stellar object where I work, smuggled upon that one shuttle. They disembarked the shuttle safely, following the route that I had sketched out. They made their way with something towards a drop point that I had earlier established. I must pull from the tower. Knowing the drop was coming, I made my way towards the drop point. I might even be able to see my friends. Agent Nuggetosaurus and I went way back. We were in the academy together. We both realized that the Empire was corrupt and evil. And they quit, actually. They said that they could not serve this empire, and they left so many years ago. I decided that it would be better if I stayed and worked from the inside. Agent Nugatosaurus was the person who vouched for me with the insurgency and led me to being a double agent today. Spade pulls must indeed be double pulls. Wait, excuse me, I must retcon that because I was looking under clubs, not spades. Let me read the correct one. Nugatosaurus, who Nugatosaurus is not yet in danger. I was looking at clubs, spades. The Hunter of Famine. We have done this one before, everyone. The Jack of Spades was one of our first pulls. We're not doing that one. So we're good. We're good. We need to pull a new card. At least I almost... Flip card. 5 of Hearts. 5 of Hearts. I sneaked into a briefing room I was not supposed to be in. What did I overhear before they noticed something was wrong? And to whom did I shift the blame to escape detection? You see, the Hunter Squad, they were meeting with the Grand Moff Tulane to discuss this new development of the killer stellar object. I snuck in, fixing circuits. They were speaking about something terrible. They were saying that, yes, Grand Moff Springer, they were saying that they needed to test the weapon again, but this time on a planet with more life. If they ever wanted to take down a planet of such density of life as this interstellar capital, the dilithium crystals needed to get bigger and more powerful. I learned that day that this killer stellar object cannot destroy a planet outside of its capacity. If it cannot consume the entire planet, then it cannot consume it at all, which means it must consume smaller planets to grow bigger, to consume larger planets. I heard that when the Hunter Inspectorate noticed me fixing circuits and asked me, "What are you doing here, Officer Rathbone?" I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I was told to be here in this place and time by Lieutenant Harcourt to fix these circuits." "Really? Lieutenant Harcourt sent you here to fix these circuits? Is that correct?" Yes, sir. Don't worry, I didn't hear anything, if that's what you were worried about. I don't quite know what was Did Lieutenant Harcourt tell you anything else? Well, no, sir. He did say that I should fix the circuits, though, with this particular widget. He gave it to me. It was his. He says it's his lucky one, that I was to fix the circuits with this and then return it to him. "Give me that widget." And I did. The widget itself, of course, was bugged. And inside, the Hunter Inspectorate found evidence that an entire recording of that conversation. all to be delivered back to Lieutenant Harcourt. Well, all the evidence of Lieutenant Harcourt trying to undermine me came out, and Lieutenant Harcourt was killed. I lost that asset, but at least I'm a little bit safer. For now. Unfortunately, I don't think the universe is. The universe, I think, is in great danger. And me along with it. Queen of Spades, hunters. The Hunter of Despair led a campaign of atrocities to break the spirits of the insurgency. How did it make their and my worst fears come true? The hunters moved closer. The Hunter of Despair is one of the most handsome hunters a person has ever seen. Strong jaw, luxurious hair, flowing in the wind. A face of such sympathy, kindness, sorrow, beauty. The Hunter of Despair is stylish, sympathetic. The Hunter of Despair went across the realms and began to weep, sending holograms of themselves weeping from system to system, weeping. And then they would show the footage of the things that make them cry, the reason why they weep. And the footage is of your loved one slowly being run through with an awl, over and over and over the boar worms. The boar worms. And all the while the boar worms make a meal of those you love the most, whichever person or being was most important to that system, to you. It would be never-ending footage of the boar worms. And then the Hunter of Despair would be back on, weeping. And the Hunter of Despair would say, if only there were raiders who would come into this place to lift our spirits, perhaps traveling an onyx path to bring us joy. But no, there is only despair. How could anyone support the insurgency when anyone who does will eventually be destroyed, consumed by the boar worms? Over and over the weeping, the crying, and the sounds of the boar worms made its way across the galaxy. I must pull from the tower. But I shan't. I will get rid of that ace of clubs. Because you see, while the Hunter of Despair slowly destroys not just the bodies, but also the hope and love, I can say this. There's almost no one left that I love. They've all been destroyed. They cannot reach my heart any longer. At least, I hope not. The last day of intel is a 2 of spades. More hunters, everyone. I sent an encoded message to my allies, but the hunter of words was cunning, and the message was intercepted. What disgrace did that lead to? And how should the insurgency secure their new transmissions? The hunters move closer, and I must pull from the tower. And I must pull from the tower twice. And the tower does not look good, my friends. It does not look good. Also, welcome, raiders. One. I sent a message via the pilot Lysander, encoded as best I could. I had to tell the insurgency about the weapon and how it feeds and how it grows. I had to. I sent the message out, but it was intercepted. The hunters of words found it, killed Agent Lysander and everyone on that shuttle, and then sent out a message declaring that the insurgency had a double agent, used my message as proof that they twisted it, of course, that the insurgency is riddled with double agents and sympathizes for the regime. They made it seem as if Agent Critwitch was a double agent, feeding them information all along, and then the insurgency killed Agent Critwitch. We lost one of our most beloved and loyal transmission agents, and now the insurgency is turning on itself. It cannot trust anyone, and this is my fault. I don't know if we can survive all of this. I decided we can't send messages through the shuttles anymore. We'll have to use some other sort of means. something more secure. I decided that we should probably use the dancers, the entertainment. We do have means. We're allowed to go to the surface for relaxing and recreation. And sometimes the dancers can come up to the killer station object itself. Tiny dancers. This way, perhaps, we'll be more secure. Nothing written down. With this, I shall make my message. Day 10. Janice. Use only dancers for communication. Crit Twitch was loyal. Do not allow them to turn us against each other. For the princess. For the rebellion. For all the Bothans. I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. The dangers are so great. But I must try. I am the only one in the position that I am here on the killer stellar object itself. I'm the only one who can do this. If I can't, we may truly be lost. I must gather as much intel as possible on this day. 5. I must draw 5 cards and hope that within those 5 will be salvation and not death. The first card. 5. The second card. The third. The fourth. The fifth. I have a sinking feeling at the bottom of my stomach. I worry that it may be that it's all coming too close. 5 of diamonds. I believe we have pulled the 5 of diamonds before. We have. 5 of diamonds will be removed. Thank you, Agent Crit Twitch, without whom I would not have this intel right now. Good old Agent Crit Twitch. 4 of spades. It's not a good sign. The 4 of spades, the hunters. I hid allies on secret bases. But the Hunt of Prowl found these safe houses. Which contacts did it kill? And what installations should our allies avoid? The hunter moves closer, and I must pull from the tower twice, because I must pull 4 spades. This is not good. Across the system, we have safe houses. In the ice planet of Hoth, Caprica, New Caprica, Gallifrey, a place called Earth. Many safe houses where people can hide, where they know they'll be safe, where those people who wish to escape the tyranny of the regime can go. These are not just safe houses for agents themselves. They're safe houses for those who wish to escape the regime to have a better life. They're one of the things that keeps the insurgency in the hearts of the people. People dream, and they know that we, the insurgents, might be able to keep them safe. But can we? We must pull two. One. Two. All throughout the galaxy, all at once, they swept in to our secret bases. They are not military bases. They were hideouts for those who wish to escape the regime. And they killed every single one of the refugees in every single one of those safe houses. But even worse, they killed our ferrymen. They got 14 of our ferrymen. The ferrymen are those brave souls who put themselves out in a space to reach out to those not yet in the insurgency who may wish to escape and provide them with a means out. So many of our ferrymen dead. And this means, in the backlash, in the aftermath, our insurgency can no longer rely on the homes of the average citizen of the galaxy. In the past, knowing that we had safe houses for them, they would often be moved to provide safe houses for us. And now, we cannot turn to the populace anymore. These are desperate times. Desperate times indeed. An 8 of diamonds. Eight of diamonds. We've not pulled it. I was able to decode dates and destinations of important cargo shipments. I think we've done this one, have we not? Have we not done the 8 of diamonds? I think we have. I think we have. It doesn't say that we have, but I feel like we got that the cargo shipments is where we got food. Yes, I believe we do have. Yes, the 8 of diamonds we have done. So let me pull another card. This is very distressing to me. It feels like we don't have many cards left in the deck, and I'm very worried about what that means. Yes, I got... But yes, 8 of spades. Hunters. I wasn't able to hide my asset's location, leading the Hunter of Mayhem to many of the insurgency's hideouts. How are they destroyed, and where should the insurgency relocate to? The hunters move closer, pull from the tower twice. After we lost the confidence of the populace, we had to hide. We had to stay safe. We had a distant moon. Hoth, we had a base there. People tried to find that place. With the destruction of our safe houses, refugees fled from all across the galaxy to the safe houses that were from the insurgency themselves. Let me tell you how that happened as I pull 2 more. Ah! It's halfway out. I don't know, it's not looking good, actually. Oh. That's really bad, actually. I'm gonna just leave it right there. You see, as these refugees are streaming into our hidden bases, what I didn't tell you was that not all of them are refugees. Or they might have been refugees, but some of them had small nuclear weapons placed inside of their body. And when they arrived in our hideouts, they exploded. The very people who needed our help the most were the means of our destruction. One. Two. And as these people who needed help came to our hidden bases, one by one, The very songs that they had sung became their last communion. And those people who were so overjoyed to find us, and the rebels who were happy to take them in, were all destroyed as their very own bodies were turned against them. Those who had survived relocated to a jungle planet, rainforests, a place called Florida. Florida, it's a small, humid place with alligators and natives who are wild, dangerous. Perhaps this place might keep us safe while we try to destroy the great weapon. 3 of diamonds. Will this place, Florida, the hidden base there, keep us safe? After days of hacking, I stole some of the regime's transmission codes. What dangerous messages did I intercept? I must pull from the tower. Yes, Florida, they have something called meth gators, which I think will keep all of the Imperial stormtroopers away. But as I found these transmission codes, I decoded them and I realized something terrible. Something awful. Something worse than you could imagine. Well, there was something called the Mouse that was making its way towards Florida. What was this mouse? And what would this mouse do to the Florida base? I had to get message out through one of our agents, Orlando. Orlando? Yes, let us find out. Are we able to get a message to Orlando to warn them about the mouse coming to the planet of Florida where our base is? Only time will tell. And this pull. Every time I try to get the message out to Orlando, the tower, my cover, gets weaker and weaker. The message. I sent it via courier, via the dancer, to Orlando, our agent, who is able, somehow, to warn the brave insurgents in Florida, the Florida system, of the coming of the mouse. Ace of spades. I was finally caught by a hunter. I'd left the base, down to the planet below. I was walking through a dark alley. I had just delivered some messages, some food, some medicine. Agent Nuggetosaurus, my old friend. I handed off the package. Agent Nuggetosaurus went off their way. I went the other direction. Thinking. It was a small detail, but it was good. As I turned the corner, I came face to face with Clytus, that hunter of many, many arms. That hunter who was once a good friend of mine, that I trapped into that steel body. In that moment, Clytus's eyes dimmed, and I realized that Clytus understood then now that I was the traitor, that I condemned him to this life of misery as this hunter. Clytus spun up, his limbs of needles and of lasers, and surged, floating across the ground towards me in great haste. Betrayal, hate, and murderous intent in his eyes. I was finally caught by a hunter. But I was able to defeat it, as impossible as it may sound. How did I do it? And what did I have to sacrifice for it? Clytus came at me. Limbs glinting in the lights. This creature, once my friend, knocked me off balance, and down I was. And it began to draw upon me, closer and closer. I thought, if only I could distract it, then maybe I might be able to make it out. I began to speak about our friendship together. Boombox and I. And it began to become confused. I know that the mental stability of this hunter creature is questionable at best. I also knew that if I could destroy my friend in this hunter's body, and destroy the body of the hunter itself, no one else would be trapped within this metal cage. And so I leapt up, and I grabbed at its servos, struggling, but the thing is, I never realized how strong it was. I never realized how powerful it was. I kept speaking as best I could. But then, I didn't think that I would be able to do it. I thought I would lose. Until I heard that voice. It was Agent Nugget. And Nugget said, "Come after me, you hunk of junk." And Clytus spun around, distracted by Nugget. And as its chainsaw arm lashed out towards Nugget, striking true, I saw the way into its body. I had been given a small tie pin from Agent Prax. I took it off and I jammed it inside of the servo. And I ducked, and it exploded into a million pieces. I rushed over to Agent Nugget, one of my oldest friends, hoping to be able to save her before it was too late. But she was bleeding too heavily. I said, Nugget, no, don't go. And Nugget said, spurting blood everywhere, it is time for me to go to sleep, to bed. I have to rise early tomorrow. And I said, no. Why? Why? Nugget, sweet dreams. Sweet dreams. Pull from the tower. Twice. This is for Nugget, who, in this moment, passes away off to the land of dreams and sleep. Covered in blood. The death of my childhood friend, Nugatosaurus. It was too much. I thought I had it too crit. I was so close. It was almost there. I walked with Nugget's body towards one of the bases where I worked. I laid the body down in front of all of the Imperial soldiers. And then I pulled my pistol. And I began shooting. I shot as many as I could before, eventually, I let go. Laser bolts riddling my body. Until I, too, went off to the land of dreams. The mission is over. I can finally rest. Was I able to stop the weapon from being completed? No. Did the insurgency finally find a win, lighting up their hope for at least a little while longer? Or was your cover blown before you could make any difference, leaving me to rot and suffer at the hands of the ruthless hunters? And even if I did succeed, for how long will that hard-earned peace last? I may have stopped the weapon, but the regime has made many weapons before, and they'll create more weapons once I've gone. I am insignificant, and the regime is eternal. Were all the deaths brought by my actions worth the sacrifice? considering the fact that all they earned were a few more days before the beast awakens again, angrier and hungrier than before. Was it worth it? Lying to my allies so they could hope for something that would never last? If I failed, how will Operation Swordbreak be remembered? Will it be used as a cautionary tale, stopping future insurgents from ever trying to rebel again? Will my actions be taken as inspiration? For the future will know at least there were those who tried. If I succeeded, how will the regime respond to my rebellion? How painful will its retribution be? And how can my actions inform new rebellions? If there even are any rebels left standing once the regime responds to my pathetic sabotage attempt. I'm insignificant, and the regime is eternal. But maybe this was a good start. And I will tell you about the spark. I died in that outpost on that jungle planet. Mountainous regional planet. Shooting as many Imperial scum as I could. The body of Agent Nuggetosaurus, my childhood friend, by my side, and the pieces of Clytus the hunter at my feet. And you might think that this was a loss, that I failed. And I might have thought that myself as well as I was dying. But there was an agent, a bard, an agent of the House of Dreams, who was there, outside of that base, who recorded everything. And what do bards do, after all? They sing stories and they tell tales. And this bard of the House of Dreams sent the video, the hologram, out into the stars. And what did that hologram show? It showed an Imperial officer who learned the light, who betrayed and turned against the Imperium to save those they cared about. That care and that dedication, when strong enough, could destroy even a hunter like Clytus. Evidence that the hunters are not invulnerable, that they can be defeated, and that friendship can do it. Expertly told by a bard who knew exactly which angles to use and which not to use. Carried on the backs of other agents like Agent Prax with TNT, Agent Lysander, Agent Krellin. The propaganda spread, and people had hope. Will it be enough to defeat the regime? I don't know, because that is not my story to tell, for I perished in a hail of laser bolts in an office in a galaxy far, far away, a long, long time ago. And that is the end of Operation Swordbreak. That's our tower. Oh my goodness. So I just would like to let you know that if I had made those two pulls, if I had made them successfully, what would have happened that is that you pull from the tower. If you have previously drawn a king, you may shuffle it back into the deck. And so I could have taken that king of spades and shuffled it right back into the deck and had that off the table, giving me just a little bit more time to live. I just thought I'd let you know that I could have done it. Yeah. So yeah, that is that was amazing. Um, so I'm processing a little bit at this moment, and I will say this. First off, thank you all for being here for this. This was pretty amazing. I don't get to send my last message because I'm dead. You know how that happened. But I thought, so Krillin asked, is this one of those games where you cannot win? That is a very good question. And I think Wretched and Alone games don't tend to be ones where you can actually succeed. That tends to be part of the way that works, at least not in a traditional way. But why don't we read out the jokers? If I'd gotten the Ace of Joker, the Ace of Hearts, you finally know the only way to destroy the weapon by attacking its 10 security breaches at once. Pull from the tower and do not discard this card. Instead, put it to one side and place 10 token pieces of paper on it. At the end of each day, after making the drop, roll your die. On the result of a 6, write a security breach on a token and remove it from the card, delivering that message to the insurgency. If you successfully remove all the tokens, the insurgency attacks. Make a final pull from the tower. If the tower stands, the weapon is destroyed and you escape. The game ends. Write another message confirming the weapon's end. If the tower falls, the insurgency destroyed the weapon, but your cover was blown. You will never know the results of your sacrifice and the game is over. So, there is a way to win this game. But I did not pull the Ace of Hearts in order to get me there. But maybe, if you play this game, you will. Maybe you will be able to succeed where I failed. I, Officer Rathbone, aboard the Killer Seller Object. I at least gave us hope so that maybe the other rebels may be able to destroy this terrible weapon, this Killer Stellar Object. I hope at least that is the case. Oh, wow. So if there is a slim chance. So the win state is a 1 in 54 chance of pulling an Ace of Hearts, and then you need to roll 10 sixes to remove all of the tokens. Yes, that is correct. That is correct. That said, I did note one thing in the rules that I ignored because it was just an option, and I will just read it out to you right now. And that option is shuffle your deck of cards and place it face down within easy reach. If you want to play a shorter game where it's easier to succeed, put the Ace of Hearts on top of the card deck. And then prepare your first message. So, you can, if you want to play a shorter game, place the Ace of Hearts on the top of the deck to start. And then you just have to... So, you could do that. I will say, if any of my streamer friends wants to play in this weird mashup universe and see if you can avenge me, please do. Pick it up and, if you want... Okay, I'm going to say this. I did not roll a 6. The singles, I did not. I didn't. But I will say this. I'm going to make a call. This is my call. I believe that because I played through this game and got so many plans out and did so much work, I think that whoever plays, if somebody wants to play after the death of Officer Rathbone, for example, Prax, I think that you should be able to start with the Ace of Hearts on top of your deck because I got plans out already. So I think if somebody wanted to play a follow-up game, it would be justified in-game lore to start with the Ace of Hearts on top and to see if you can take the plans that I got out and use that to destroy it. That's all. That's all. So what I'm hearing is I need to set this up to avenge you, but I don't think this is going to be the game to do it because I have a better option. I'm just saying, if anybody wants to avenge me and destroy this terrible, like, soul-stealing weapon, I do believe that you can, in good consciousness and good faith, say you start with an Ace of Hearts at the top. That's all I'm saying. And Prax will avenge me by blowing up more things in the way. I'm excited. Um, Everybody, that was it. That was our game. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you. And let me say, if anybody wants their revenge, let me know, and I will be there. And I give you permission to start with the Ace of Hearts on the top of your deck because it's a continuation. Mm, 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 mm. So I'm troopersjp. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. We did our going solo. That was super cool. And I'm gonna have to clean it. Look, I was so close. I was so close to getting that first pull. I think I could have almost did it, but like it was just tight. It was just tough. I almost did it, but I didn't do it. So sad. But let me see. Let's talk about where you can find me next. Besides the fact that you are all so amazing, thank you. You can find me next tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern over at Table Story, where we have the finale of Song of Heroes. So you should definitely, and that's, I have a wig out there somewhere, and that is what that is for. So you should definitely go and see me there. And then also you can find me Sunday night at 8 p.m. on this channel, troopersjp, but also Laugh Love Lindy, High Shelf Collective, and Wandering DM as we have our Omega session and finish up our big overview reflecting on the first season of Roleplay Reflect in Space, where we talk about all the games together and all the things we noticed, and I think it'll be really, really cool. I'm very excited, so come and see us to wrap up this amazing, cool first season of an experiment, and we'll talk about what's next. And then after that, in terms of RPGs, those are my RPGs for the week. However, next Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, over at Laugh Love Lindy's channel, she is going to be running a Call of Cthulhu game set in the medieval Viking Greenland. And you should watch it. I won't be there next week, but you should definitely watch that show. Absolutely, you should watch it. For reasons. Um, uh, I also appreciate Trooper played the entire session by playing Jenga on easy mode by not being forced to pull the one you touch. Ah. So let me see. The other thing I wanted to tell you was I am going to I'm going to take the messages that I wrote out and I'm going to turn them into a prop that I'm going to put on Patreon. And I have an idea about a particular method of enciphering. Because here's the thing, if I do this right, you all know what the messages are, right? Because you've heard me say them. But that is not actually going to be the thing. I'm going to encipher it using a special cipher system that was used in World War II by the SOE. And if I do it right and you decipher it, you should be able to pick up a secret message in another way. So I'm going to be working on that, and I'll put it out there because I have to do an after action report for the Patreons anyway. And so I'm going to do that, and I'll let you know when it happens. And I believe that's it. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here, and I want to thank all of you lovely people who are so wonderful. I want to thank our sponsor, Willen TW, who's like, we have one Patreon who's in the sponsors here, which is $200 a month, which will pay for the 4 players for one show for 1 week. And I want to thank him especially because he gets a special shout out. And, I forgot to do a break. It's fine. And I want to thank all the patrons. I want to thank you all, everyone who's been here. And I'm going to make sure that I have the next spy going solo thing all set up, one shot going ready to go for when we need it, so I can start on time next time. And thank you, everybody, for being amazing. And also, keep hope alive, everyone. We've got this. We will take down that star-killing weapon if it's the last thing we do. It is also the last thing that I will do. Everybody, thank you, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye, everyone.